Okay, Sakshi ji, now we can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sakshi Singh, research scholar at Faculty of Education, Banaras Hindu University. And today we are here in a special lecture organized by Indian Research Scholars Association on the topic how to hello on the topic academic writing skills and publication ethics. Today we have a Professor Ramakrishna Pradhan sir from from Guru Ghasidas Central University, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. Sir is a professor in the political science department. I'm sure that today's lecture on academic writing skills and publication ethics is definitely very fruitful for us, and because it is a very much relevant for the research scholars to know how we can enhance our writing skill and what factors make our writing skill improvised and how we write impressive and informative research paper and how and where we go for its publication. So today's topic, today's special lecture is will be very fruitful for all the research scholars. And now I will call Mr. Vikash Kumar, sir, for welcome speech.
Okay, thanks, Sakshi Singh ji. First of all, I would like to thanks to all participants who has taken your valuable time and join this lecture series. And I would like to, on the core of my heart and on the depth of my heart, to my education mentor and my ideal teacher, to Professor Ramakrishna Pradhan sir. And sir has always give me bless and to encourage me for the good work, and sir has always inspired me. So I would like to welcome to sir, and sir has accepted our invitation very easily and given the permission. I sure I will deliver my lecture on the any topic, and in future if your association and your team members want to any kinds of help, so I sure I will be provided to. So I would like to thank welcome to sir. I would like to convener of this lecture series, Ganeshi Lal, who is a research scholar of Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and organizing secretary of Kuldeep Sonkushare ji, who is a research scholar of Nagpur University. And I would like to welcome also my younger sister Sakshi Singh, who is a research scholar of education
Thank you.
faculty, PHU. So I would like to thanks to everyone, and I would like to welcome to everyone. And without taking any time, I call to Sakshi Singh for further proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now it's a time to introduce our speaker to all the participants. As I and Vikas sir told that today's speaker is a Professor Ramakrishna Pradhan sir, and sir is a MA, MPhil, and PhD from JNU. And sir, interest area of sir is the international relation, foreign policy, geopolitics, energy security, and Eurasian and Central Asian studies, Indic studies, and conflict studies and research methodology. More than 10 papers are published in its Scopus Index Journal and UGC Care listed and peer reviewed many more. About 5 books are authorized by Sir, and around 7 books are edited by Sir. And Sir has guided many research scholars and MPhil scholars. And now it's the time to call Sir for his valuable speech first. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shaki. And my thanks are due to the Indian Research Scholars Association and my young minds and budding scholars out there. Special thanks to because we do not have teacher-student relationship. I call him a younger brother as well. And let's be frank, we are not, in a system of teacher-student relationship. We are friends. Okay. And only when we become friends, we can interact and share our ideas without having any kind of burden. That means let's have a democratic space where we can discuss, deliberate, and share the ideas that we think fit for academic writings. So, and what I believe, I must thank all the young peoples out there, those who have created this, Indian Research Scholars Association. And what I learned from because every week they are organizing, pertinent lectures on very relevant themes. And it's actually, the need of the hour. We must deliberate and discuss ideas and issues which concerns the young scholars, so that beyond classroom, curricula, we can learn many more things, and we can also have interaction with those peoples who are not institutionally connected with us. So that's the beauty of this I mean to say arrangement which Vikas and his fellow friends like Ganesh, Saki, and Kuldeep have done, and I think there are other peoples as well. But I can see that many of my fellow friends and colleagues are also joining on the other side. So before we enter into academic writing skills and the research publication ethics, I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation. So just I will take few minutes. I mean to say, uh, yeah, is it visible?
Uh, yes, sir.
Because can
Visible.
you see the PPT?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see, sir.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Very
Visible,
good.
sir.
Yeah, the today's lecture, okay, more or less a presentation you can say, is an academic writing skills and publication ethics. What we will do, we will try to, I mean to say, divide the entire, lecture into two folds. One would be, academic writings. The other would be publication ethics. Yeah, I understand that given the positive, I mean, so given the time frame, the lecture would be too heavy. But I would try to avoid those things which is already in the public domain or which you know. Okay, let's without wasting much time start with what do you mean by academic writing, and why academic writing as of now is so important for a scholar, for particularly a research scholar and a budding academician. Why academic writing should be important, or what are the skills within the academic writings that we need to know. Okay, and what are the do's and don'ts in the academic writing. Then once you learn the art of writing, you know how to publish, isn't it?
Sir,
And
can you please make the PPT full screen so that it can visible clearly to participant?
is it not visible?
Visible but not full screen. Presentation mode you should have to do.
Okay, just give me a time because I'm technically not. I mean to say, 1 minute. Full window you are telling, isn't it? Entire screen, isn't it?
Yes. Simply press Control F5 so that your PPT is
Control,
full
control,
screen.
control.
Control F5. Please share the PPT, then press Control F5. Now currently your PPT is not
Control
available on your
F5,
screen.
isn't it?
Share it
F5.
again.
Yeah, I did it. Is it visible?
Not visible, sir. You have to share it
Control
again.
F5 only you can.
No. You have to share first PPT.
Okay, okay, okay. Then Control F5, isn't it?
Then control. Yes.
Hmm. Then Control F5, isn't it?
Uh, yes, sir. Now PPT is available. Now press Control F5 so that it is visible full.
Control F5. I'm doing it. Only something else is coming.
Then, sir, press one cup button near 70%. At bottom is one
Which
cup of
button?
70% is written at bottom, as you able to see.
Okay,
70%.
okay. Understood.
That
Understood.
not touch that. Touch this one. One cup is there near 74%. Go, but yes, definitely, sir, definitely.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Now, just 1 minute, sir.
Okay. Is it okay?
Now press another switch. Uh, Press cup button very nearer button to 74.
Oh my goodness. Okay, very,
No problem.
very near it.
This one. No, not this one. This one
Okay,
nearer to.
now,
Yeah,
now,
yes,
sir,
yes, exactly,
now,
sir.
sir, now, sir,
Yeah,
now,
already I
okay.
have saved the slide. Okay,
Yes,
is it
sir.
okay
Now,
now?
now, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
okay, sir.
Well,
Now, okay.
anyway,
Exactly.
let's move on with the I mean to say the discourse, isn't it? As I told you that why academic writing skills are important. As a boarding scholar, why we must know the nuances of academic writing and how to develop those skills. Because many a time we understand without even after having PhD, we are not in a position to write a very good paper, or even we are struggling to submit our PhD thesis. And when we start, we don't even know how to start with. So I think this lecture will help you in this regard as well to start with your writing, whether you are writing a report, whether you are writing a thesis, or whether you are preparing for an article, or whether you are I mean to say in the area of publications, isn't it? And after writing, knowing the skills of academic writing or the art of academic writing, we will dwell into what are the publication ethics. That means what are the things that we need to follow while publishing, and what should we do and what we shouldn't do while publishing. Those things we will look into. So if you in a nutshell, if you can think of, then the entire presentation would be in twofold. One is academic writing, the other is publication ethics, isn't it? Let's dwell into what is an academic writing. As I told you, academic writing is all those writings that we use for academic purposes, isn't it? But these writings are different from the general writings in the sense, because in general writings you can write anything you want, and there are no standard procedure rules. But in academic writing, my dear friend, there are certain set standards which you cannot ignore. If you ignore, then your writings can be called as writings, but they won't be clubbed into academic writings. Why? Because when we write for academic matters, there are certain strictly adhered rules. We need to follow those rules. For example, whatever we write, we need to be to the point. We cannot bush around, beat around the bush. Whatever we write, we need to be very straight. We need to be pinpointed. We need to be very very straightforward, isn't it? And whenever you are writing for academic purposes, we shouldn't also use humors within that, or we shouldn't also use the flowery language which you call ornamental languages. We shouldn't I mean to say live in the dream world. Academic writing to me is also a kind of realistic writing, where you need to put the thing as they are without putting your emotions, your fellow feelings, your kind of biasness within that, isn't it? And in academic writing, the role of descriptions are also very few. It play quite a small part. I mean to say, you don't have much role in there. You need to only put things as they are, or as it is in front of you, isn't it? Or as they appear to you, instead of putting your emotions, feelings, and all this into it, isn't it? And academic writing is also subjective. That is the reason probably why you need to avoid humors, and you need to avoid the I mean to say ornamental languages or the flowery languages. Otherwise, you thought up to add in your write-ups. Okay, I mean to say when you are writing those kind of things in poetry and prose, that's a different thing. But when you are writing research papers, when you are writing articles, you need to avoid those things which are not realistic in nature, isn't it? And the other thing, the best way to understand the academic writing is it is accurately, defining a thing. I mean to say there is, no way of going around a particular thing, rather to reach at the thing that you want to explain, isn't it? Generally, if you think, what are those academic writings? Academic writings are those writings which we, I mean to ponder upon while conducting our research, isn't it? It is those writings which we able to address as a problem during our thesis writing, or during our PhD, MPhil, and other kind of things. So when you resolve a problem, when you try to present those problems, you need to present the problem in such a way that you are addressing the problem directly, without taking round the or as you say the Chandrayaan has landed, without roaming in the orbit. You have to land directly in the your in your problem, isn't it? The other part of academic writing, or the beauty of academic writing, is that it is It's many a time what we do. We write articles, we write write-ups for publicity matters. For example, we are writing in newspapers. We are writing in blogs. We are writing in portals. These are basically for publicity matters. So when you write a particular academic writing, particularly a research paper, there you need to avoid those kind of publicities, those kind of biasnesses, or those kind of, I mean to say, ideological attachments. Rather, you have to write for the larger interest of the audience rather than to seek cheap publicity, isn't it? And at the same time, the academic writing, my dear friend, also analyzes situations looking at different aspects of the argument. I mean to say, academic writing therefore is an unbiased writing because it looks at different aspects of the argument without being concentrated on particular argument, or without being attached to a particular element or ideology or a cultural ethos, rather to say. Rather, it's a balance between several arguments and creating a semblance among those arguments and putting forth before the audience for their understanding, isn't it? Now the thing is why the academic writing is important, isn't it? If you look, my dear friend, academic writing is basically a means of producing, codifying, transmitting, evaluating, innovating, teaching and learning knowledge and ideology in academic discipline. As we have discussed, that whenever we are putting forth our research in the form of our research in the public domain, we put it in the form of a report. And a report constitutes at least three things. You have text, you have tables and figures. It is only through text, tables and figures you can put forth your feelings or your outcomes of your research in the public domain. So academic writing in that context is very very important, that how you want to put forth what you want to convey to your audience, what you convey to the larger general public, or what you want to tell the people out there, you maybe your fellow researchers, maybe organization concerned, maybe the university where you pursue your PhD, or maybe the society at large, or to the nation and the international audience as well. Whatever thing you want to convey them, you can convey them only in the form of writing, because that is the best way, or that is the only way. What best way? That is the only way through which you can convey what you want to convey to the people out there, isn't it? So since writing is the only form, report is the only form, therefore we must know the art of academic writing, so that effectively we can put forth our ideas, we can convey what we want to convey to the people formidably, without being biased, without having any kind of I mean to say prejudices, and at the same time without being diverted from the main argument. That's the reason probably why the knowing the art of academic writing is very very important, because this is the only means through which you can transmit knowledge, or you can transmit your research outcomes to the people out there, isn't it? Isn't it? And the other thing, as I told you, being able to write in academic style is essential to disciplinary learning and critical for academic success. Therefore, control over academic writings gives you capital, power, and agency in knowledge building, identifying in identity formation, disciplinary practices, social positioning, and the career advancement. The in a nutshell, if you can say, it is the I mean to say quality of academic writing, the intensity of academic writing, or the impact, isn't it? What I can say is quality, intensity, and impact of
Uh,
academic writing that
sir,
makes you and unmakes you, isn't
sir,
it?
sir,
Any
your
problem? Because
sir, PPT is not moving, sir.
it's not visible.
Visible, sir, but not moving, sir.
No, I am in the same PPT. It's in slide number 3.
But
We
sir,
are at title slide, sir. Our slide
Sorry.
is title slide. We are
Okay.
currently seeing title slide,
Is it moving?
not moving, sir.
Is there any problem?
Yes, definitely a problem.
Why? But
oh, now,
Now moving, sir. Now PPT number 2.
okay. Is
Now
it moving
please,
now?
sir, press F5 only, F5 button, so that full PPT visible. Press
F5, isn't it?
F5, F5 only.
Control F5 or only F5?
Only F5, only F5.
If I press F5, the this thing comes. I mean to say, brightness comes. Is it why problems occurring? Because in the same way I'm sharing with others, but no problem, I mean to say comes. Why?
Okay, sir, please continue.
Is it okay now? Sorry.
Sir, it's a slide
1 minute.
number 2, sir. Now slide number
Yeah,
2 is
I just
visible, sir.
hmm, what to do? It's is it moving now? Line
Uh,
number three.
no,
No,
sir.
no, sir. No.
Should I again set the this thing?
Now, sir.
Now slide 3 is there, sir.
Moving. It's moving.
Yes, sir.
Hmm, okay. So is it okay now? Should we because
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, okay, sir.
okay. So let's move into slide number 4. Okay. Is slide number 4 visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Look, as we have discussed, two, three things we have discussed so far. One is what is academic writing. Then we have discussed why academic writing is important, isn't it? And finally, in the why academic writing is important. In there we have discussed, that academic writing is the one which gives name, fame, prestige, identity to the people, and all that depends upon the impact of writing, quality of writing, or intensity of writing that you are producing in public domain, isn't it? Now look at the type of academic writings. Generally, my dear friend, the entire framework of academic writings can be divided into two. One is researchers academic writing, isn't it? It's my, I mean to say, kind of typical categorization. You may disagree with me, isn't it? And this kind of, when we say that students are researchers academic writing, I mean that when people, submit their MPhil and PhD, when they write whatever write-ups they can, those kind of writings can be clubbed as students writing or researchers writing, or you may call it scholars writing as well. I did use the term scholar here because it's a broad term which go beyond MPhil and PhD. For that reason, I have only limited to students or researchers writing, isn't it? Then the next, form of writing, or the second categorization of writing, is experts academic writing. And when we say experts academic writing, it is intended for publication in the form of books, or in academic journals, or in articles, or I mean to say publications in different other forms of the experts. Okay, so these are the two types of writings that we discuss when I mean to say if you look at the academic writings, as I've already said you, these include book reviews, argumentative essays, literature reviews, empirical research articles, grant proposal, I mean to say the research proposals like ICSSR, ICHR, and other things, conference abstracts, commentaries, memoranda, and many other type of text as well. Okay, and to be frank, each of this type of academic writing has its own purpose, organizational structure, and linguistic features. In the case of research writing, what we have is other form of I mean to say academic writings as well, and there are in general these are available in public domain as well. There are particularly four types of academic writings. One is descriptive. Okay, and when we say descriptive writing, this kind of writings are called as fact provider. It provides facts to the people, isn't it? And these writings are basically writings which involves passing examinations, or writing answers out of a syllabus. Particularly, you can say when students are appearing exam, or when students are writing their I mean, it's a term papers or whatever assignment given to them. Those kind of writings can be called as descriptive academic writing, isn't it? Then the other form of academic writing is analytical academic writing. What is analytical writing? Analytical writing is equal to descriptive plus information, isn't it? If you can see, I have written here also categorizing facts plus information. Fact plus information is analytical writing. That means in analytical writing, what you have, you you have the descriptive writing. That means you have the facts with you. Apart from the facts, you can add more informations into it, isn't it? Particularly people those who are writing at university level, isn't it? Those who are in higher education, isn't it? Those I mean to say those people who are in a position to add information, isn't it? Their writings can be called as analytical writing. The third form of academic writing is persuasive academic writing, isn't it? This writing includes whatever information that you have given in descriptive and analytical. That means persuasive means analytic plus reorganization of information and addition of your information. That means persuasive writing is a kind of I mean to say a bucket of almost everything, or rather you say that whatever writing we write today in the form of journals or in the form of book chapters, these all can be categorized as persuasive writing, because it is where we read a lot through a review of literature, then we try to reorganize those information, and after reorganizing the information available to us, what we do, we add whatever information we can to the study, isn't it? So persuasive writing can rightly be called a research paper, or in a nutshell, an academic writing. And apart from that, we have the last form of academic writing, which is called as critical academic writing, isn't it? Critical academic writing, as I told you, that it would be like what more than what appears, or rather to say that those who understood, I mean to say the young scholars out there know what exactly is critical theory in academic writing, or critical theory rather to say. Critical theory, my dear friend, as we understand, it believes that do not take anything as truth, or do not accept anything looks truth from the outset, isn't it? Unless you are self-convinced, unless you do not convince yourself, do not accept anything as truth. It also says that there is nothing called absolute truth, isn't it? Truth is a relative concept, it says. Critical theory also says that there is a power knowledge relationship, and every knowledge is constructed, isn't it? If you go to the if you go beyond critical theory into constructivism, then it also believes that since every knowledge is constructed, we shouldn't accept anything put before us as a truth unless and until we are convinced, isn't it? I mean to say, these are basically, if you look at the critical, I mean to say academic writing, critical academic writing says that whatever is given before you, do not accept them as truth, or whatever you write, be convinced that you are giving an unbiased, perspective or unbiased argument before the people, or unbiased knowledge talk before the people, isn't it? And critical writing requires lot many skills, because you need to be well versed with all the dimensions or all the perspectives available with regard to the argument that you want to put forth before the people, isn't it? And after understanding all these arguments, you need to have a balanced view of those arguments without being biased. Yeah, you can be critical of them, you can criticize them, but at the same time, you should understand that when you criticize certain things, or when you are critical to certain things, you do not attach your emotions, your ideological attachments, or conflict of interest with that. I mean to say critical academic writing again tells us writing free from I mean to say conflict of interest, isn't it? Apart from that, if you move on to the next slide, isn't it? The next slide tells us, my dear friend, about characteristics of academic writing, isn't it? If you look the characteristics of academic writing, in the characteristics of academic writing, we have categorized few points, or you can call them few features, which are called as structure, evidenced, critical, balanced, precise, objective, and formal. I mean to say, these constitute basically the characteristics of every academic writing. For example, what do you mean by structure? structure means, look, when we write academic writings can be anything, whether we are writing a book, whether we are writing a thesis, whether we are writing a report, whether we are writing an article, whether we are writing a chapter, whatever we are writing, for everything there is a structure. For example, look, when you are writing a book, in the book you can have a foreword, but when you are writing a thesis, you will have a preface, not forward. But when you are writing an a report, neither you will have forward nor you will have preface. These are basically the structures. You then will have an introduction, then will have a kind of I mean to say background. Then you can have a kind of I mean to say methodology. Then you can have resultant discussion. Then you can have conclusion. So I mean to say, depending upon the nature of write up that you are doing, whether you are writing a thesis, whether you are writing a report, or whether you are writing an article, or whatever you are writing, there are certain set structure for that. You need to follow those structure while writing. Many a time what we do, we are confused, when we start an article. We don't even know how to start an article, isn't it? We don't know how to formulate an abstract, isn't it? So we need to understand. For example, if I will tell you that when you write an article, you need to put the structure in such a way. For example, you start with an abstract, isn't it? While writing an abstract also, you need to have certain rules in mind. For example, in an abstract, what you will have? You will have existing literature plus the research here, what already been said, what you want to say, plus the methodology, plus the outcome, I mean to say conclusion. Then your abstract is done. But we do not follow that structure. So many a time what happen, whenever we are submitting an article or whenever we are submitting a chapter, that get rejected because we do not follow the proper structure while preparing. So this therefore structure is important while you are writing an article or writing a book or chapter or thesis. So you need to write accordingly. Similarly, in the as we were discussing about the article, after the abstract, you come to the introduction after the keywords. What is an introduction? Introduction is nothing but a brief summary of the entire article that you want to put forth. Many times, what we do in the form of introduction, we try to introduce the article, title. It's not. It shouldn't be done. The very purpose of introduction is to provide a brief overview of the article that you are intended to write or the information that you are supposed to give to the wider audience, isn't it? Then you go to the prelude. In the prelude, provide the background of that, I mean to say the title or the theme that you want to present to the public. The background should be, I mean to say the entire background of the theme should be in the prelude or historical background, not in the introduction. But what we do when we prepare, an article, we provide a kind of history in the introduction. Again, for that we get rejected. So these are the structures we need to, I mean to say, acquainted with when we are writing articles, or particularly I'm, focused on articles. If you're writing an article, then you need to follow that structure. What should be the abstract? What should be an introduction? What should be the prelude? What should be the result and discussion? Why methodology is important in an article, isn't it? And how must I, concise my conclusion? If we can follow those structure, then my dear friend, your article will be, I mean to say, receivable. It will be accepted everywhere, and you will have, takers. Then the next characteristics within academic writing is evidenced. What do you mean by evidence? Evidence means the supporting document, or in simply, if I can ask you, it's citation and reference. Evidence means what we do, whatever we write, we need to provide a kind of evidence before the public that this is so and so, isn't it? And if you do not provide, then what will happen, my dear friend? Your article would be without responsibility, accountability. Evidence gives accountability, rather to say scientism to your article. Therefore, evidence is equally important and characteristics of academic writing, isn't it? Why do you need evidence? Evidence is to establish logic to what you are doing. Second thing is to cite. That means that to support your argument. And third thing is to make your writing scientific. You require evidences. So evidence is an important thing while you prepare any kind of academic writings. Then critical. That means while you prepare academic writings, you need to develop that set of critical analysis as well, or critical mindset as well. As I've already told you, the in criticality there is, as it is being said, the truth is relative, or rather to say, whatever is being told to us or whatever we read from books and other things, they they should not be accepted at the outset as true, because whenever people write things, they have their own personal biasness, they have their own emotions, then their own perspectives in that writing. So whatever we read, we shouldn't accept them from the outset as complete truth. Rather, we should be critical. We should have kind of inquiry driven approach to those kind of contents or those kind of subjects that we go through, because we must need to understand that any knowledge that comes to us, they comes as I mean to say, any knowledge which we read or any knowledge that comes to us, they are not coming to us as it is. Rather, they are a produced knowledge, they are a manufactured knowledge, isn't it? If I can rightly quote Robert Cox has rightly said, every theory is for someone and every theory is for some purpose, isn't it? It means that nothing that is put forth before us is absolute truth. Rather, they are put forth because there is a kind of power knowledge and relationship, and power I mean to say brings the knowledge to the forefront, and knowledge also helps the power to survive. If you look from that perspective, therefore, a writer, isn't it, particularly a researcher who involves in academic writing, needs to be very very critical and should not write things which are I mean to say unacceptable, and at the same time should not also I mean to say sponsor those things, or should not also confirm those things which otherwise are not true. Apart from criticality, you need to have a balanced I mean to say approach in academic writing. What do you mean by balanced approach? It's an extension of critical approach. Balanced means you need to have an unbiased study of events as it comes to you. I mean to say, without being involved, without being attached into the study, or rather you can say its a balanced approach is also a kind of objectivity within the study, where the writer needs to have a kind of harmonious understanding of producing write-ups without having any kind of biasness. Apart from that, preciseness or precise is another characteristics of academic writing, isn't it? And preciseness means it's a defining, as I told you, it should be point to the point without beating around the bush, and it needs to be subject specific, without I mean to say lingering the argument, without creating a kind of argument around the subject matter. We must need to argue within the subject. That means whatever arguments that you need to put forth, it needs to be defining, it needs to be subject specific, it needs to be pinpointed. Then the next characteristics is objective, isn't it? When we talk about objective, it puts emphasis on argument and information instead of the writer. Many times what happens, my dear friend, we give too much emphasis to the writer who has written the book, isn't it? Rather than what are the contents of the book and what is the impact of the book, isn't it? Yeah, like any other, we all have a kind of I mean to say kind of weakness to tend towards the writers, isn't it? We just ask who has written the book. If the writer is good, we take the book. But objective academic writing, it says that you shouldn't focus on the writer, rather you focus on the argument and information that you want to put forth, or that you want to convey to your audience, isn't it? Without giving importance to the writer, give only to the text, or to the arguments, or to the information that are there, isn't it? And formal, the formal thing tells us that without being complex, you need to put your things in a very simplified way. That means it avoids complex sentences. It avoids those kind of things where a scholar or where a reader would be confused to understand what exactly you want to present before them. बोलने का मतलब ये है, in the formal characteristics, we need to put our sentences in such a lucid way, such a simple way, such straightforward way, that the least concerned individual must understand. Many a time, what we do, in order to showcase our, the treasure of English that we have, we put, many jargons, many technical word terminologies, and even the words as Shashi Tharoor is using, isn't it? So what happens, my dear friend? Many a time, the reader concerned do not understand us, isn't it? So one such characteristics of academic writing is whenever you write, you need to be very, very formal. You need to keep your sentences very, very small and simple instead of having complex sentences, because that makes a kind of puzzle within the reader and the reader get confused. You won't understand you, isn't it? The next thing, my dear friend, following any kind of, academic writings, we have at least 6 steps within that writing, isn't it? These 6 steps are analyzing the question or analyze the question, research and record information, organize and plan, write an outline, plan and first draft, work on your first draft, and finalize the draft, isn't it? Let's, let's look at them one by one. The first thing is analyze the draft, isn't it? In the analyzing the draft, we need to understand, in analyzing the question, we need to understand that what exactly the central question in that article or in the book or in the report that you are going to be answered or that you are going to address, isn't it? That is the, in analyzing the question, the main mood part is what is your central question, what is your central argument in the paper. Many a time what we do, we write 2000, 3000 words, 5000 words without having any precise argument, isn't it? My submission to the young minds out there is that whenever you are preparing an article, whenever you are writing a report, whenever you are writing a chapter or whatever you wish to, there you need to understand what exactly the argument around which you are preparing your report or you are preparing your article, isn't it? And you have to carry forward that argument, isn't it? Without stopping the argument in the abstract or without limiting it to the introduction and conclusion. In the entire, structure of the article, you need to carry the central question or you need to carry that central argument. If you can do that, my dear friend, then your article would be well accepted, well received, isn't it? And further important question that we need to understand is, what you know. Basically, what we do many a time, our articles are a jumble of review of literature. It's a collection of review of literature, or rather, we can say our article is a dustbin of review of literature or existing literature. So, what do we do? We compile, or I may call it. I won't call it as a fabricated. Okay, but rather I can say that it's a kind of dustbin of review of literature. So, what do we do? We collect information from different sources, we compile them together and produce an article and we submit. Since informations are in public domain, that article gets rejected. Again, my submission here is, my suggestion, my idea would be to that generally you try to put forth in the central question, what exactly you know about this argument, rather than addressing what X, Y, Z tells about that argument. The idea is what you know about the argument and how you want to address that argument. Isn't it? And while, my dear friend, when you present forth, whenever you are presenting your argument, isn't it? You cannot haphazardly present your arguments. You need to have an epistemology as well, isn't it? And you all might be knowing what epistemology is all about, isn't it? That means how I know what I know. That means whenever I present something as my argument, whatever argument I put forth, how that argument, came to me, or why should you accept that argument? Isn't it? In the last thing I told you that why literature review is important, because it gives logic, it gives scientism. Here again, I told you in epistemology that whenever we are taking, I mean to say, whenever we are presenting any argument before the public, we need to present the argument in a logical manner so that everybody should accept it. And why anybody will accept you? Only when you present the source, that whatever you are presenting, why you are presenting, or how you are presenting, isn't it? That what and how, isn't it? How I know what I know is an epistemology, or the which you call a science of knowledge. That science of knowledge must flow through a a kind of structure, isn't it, or a kind of method where you can present that whatever you are presenting, there is a background, there is a source to it. So then, again, your argument would be validated, your argument would be accepted. Apart from that, what important thing that you need to focus, in your analyze, while you analyze the central argument is the focus on title before starting researching and writing. Many a time what we do, we haphazardly again take a title. So whenever we are picking a title, selecting a title, we need to be 100, even more than 100% careful, my dear friend, because title is what sells your article. If your title is not attractive, it's not magnetic, isn't it? It doesn't have that, I mean to say, Midas touch. Nobody is going to accept your article. Therefore, title, my dear friend, is important. I will, many of my students, those who are out there, they already know it. My point is, when your title, my dear friend, is very, very important. It is like a mirror of your article. It is only through your title people would be interested to go into the article. For example, I will tell you, look at Chetan Bhagat. He has come up with two important books. I mean to say, he has written several books, but two important books which touched me is Half Girlfriend and Marriage Between Two States. Look at the title, my dear friend, Half Girlfriends, isn't it? Imagine either you have a girlfriend or you don't have a girlfriend. What is half girlfriend? But that's a title that attracted the people, and he became, his books became bestseller, isn't it? Then the next book is Marriage Between Two States. We heard that marriage between two individuals, but what about marriage between two states? We never heard. Look, simple thing. Two people from two states, they got married. But look at the article. Look at the book. Marriage between two states. That title is attractive. The title is so catchy that people gets attracted to towards that book. Therefore, I mean to say, Chetan Bhagat became a millionaire. Maybe a billionaire as well, because all his books became bestseller. Why? Because he know how to attract the audience. He know how to read your mind, and he know how to formulate the content so that people will read his books. But content is yet another thing. What is important is that you must need to formulate a title first, isn't it? And once you formulate a title, you need to look into the content of that article. You need to search, isn't it? Research on those contents before you write your article. you start writing. But what we do, we write first, then formulate the title. Therefore, what happens? It gets rejected, isn't it? The art of academic writing is whenever you are selecting a title, think twice, isn't it? And ponder upon it, isn't it? And, and just imagine what can be a better title, isn't it? If you can have a, you know, I mean, it's a very effective title, very catchy, very interesting title. You can, I mean to say, reformulate your title. You can think of rewriting your title. But once your title is finalized, then you need to go into the content. You need to structure what exactly you want to write in the article, or what you exactly want to write in the, I mean to say, book or chapter. The next thing, in the analysis of question, my dear friend, is what to analyze, isn't it? If you look at in analysis, what you need to, you examine in close details, identify important points and key features. In analysis, apart from formulating a title, apart from addressing the central question, what you need to do is you need to examine your central argument and the title closely. Then you need to identify important points and key features. Many a time, this is what we can call a structure of an article. Whenever you are writing, a chapter or an article or whatever you are writing, you need to, identify what are the points, what are the features upon which you need to write on that. That is structure. Then if you look at comment on, what are the areas where you need to comment? Identify key issues, give reactions based on what you have or what you have read, and ever, I mean to say, what kind of comments that we need to produce in an article. It tells that identify the key issues where comment is deserving, then give reaction based on what have you read without having any kind of your personal opinion. Many a time what we do, we give personal opinions. We start giving personal opinions without pondering upon what exactly we have read. And frankly speaking, many of you will agree with me that without reading also we give opinions, isn't it? And many of us, are imposters. We present ourselves in such a way that we have read, ocean of literatures, isn't it? And others haven't read anything. That's the reason what happened. We all fail, isn't it? My dear friend, you may mistake me, okay, but I believe the academic we live in has, I mean to say, plenty of imposters, people that do not read. They just come to the department for salary, isn't it? And when review of literature is not there, what kind of opinions you will have, what kind of comments you will have, what kind of analysis you will have, what kind of comparison you will establish? Because you don't have any review of literature, you don't read, isn't it? So, my dear friend, I mean, it's the mantra, in the academic writing is read, read, and read. The more you read, the more concretized will be your opinions. The more concretized will be your write-ups. The problem with us, we read less and we want more, isn't it? When you read less, isn't it? When your income is zero, imagine what can be your outcome, isn't it? Outcome will always be zero. If you don't read, you cannot write. If you want to write well, you need to read well, isn't it? But many a time what we do, we read only to respond, not to understand. That is again a problem. Many a time what we do, we read only to respond to certain things. For example, there is a class tomorrow, we need to read, therefore we read. But we do not want to read, we do not want to read to understand. The reason is when you want to be a writer, when you want to keep on writing on issues, that the art of reading should not be to respond. The art of reading should be to understand. If you can understand, then what will happen? The entire, I mean to say, your analysis capability would be broadened, your wisdom would be broadened, and then whatever you will write, they will come up as an innovative ideas, they will come up as unique ideas, and people will accept you again, isn't it? Since the I mean to say PPT is there, you can check it up because presenting all them will take lot many time. We are in the 9 slide, I believe, and there are around 36 slides. So I will skip them up. I mean to say in analyzing the question, we need to, apart from analyzing and commenting, we need to compare. We need to critically evaluate. As I told you, critically evaluate is important. I will speak a bit on it. When we critically evaluate certain thing, it means weighing argument for and against something, assessing the strength of the evidence on both sides, and there you need to use the criteria, particularly methodological, or rather to say conceptual, to guide your assessment of which theories, models, and items are preferable. I mean to say, when you critically evaluate certain things, that the only thing we need to do is either we have to write in for, or you need to write in against, isn't it? And while writing for and against, you need to accept the strength of the arguments or evidence that we have for both the sides, and we need to use criteria like methodology, concept, the theories to build up those arguments, isn't it? Apart from that, in analyzing the question, you can describe and define, isn't it? And apart from that, my dear friend, uh, in analysis question, you have the discussion, evaluation, examination, explain, justify, outline, and to what extent you consider how far something is true or contribute to a final outcome. That means while doing that, at the conclusion, you need to justify that why you believe that this article significantly contributes, or I mean to say gives some kind of innovativeness to the existing stock of knowledge. If we do not do, then no academic writing should be accepted. Many a time, my dear friend, what you do, we write for sake of writing without having any kind of innovation. Only when you analyze the central argument, only when you analyze the title, only when you analyze title, only when you have a structure, and in this structure you will have all those properties. Then only your writer should be innovative, my dear friend. Let's move into the next slide, or next step rather to say, isn't it? The next step of the presentation is research and record of information, or research and record of information, isn't it? As I told you, information is the essence of research, my dear friend. In fact, information is the oxygen of research. Without information, no research can be self-evident, or no research can be complete, isn't it? But how the information will come? Information will again come from your readability. The more you will read, the more resources that you will go through, the more literatures that you will review, from there your informations will come out, isn't it? Once you have informations, your research should be concretized, your writing should be concretized, isn't it? And remember that quest of information must need to be relevant as well. Many a time what we do, we have more misinformation than information. So whatever information that we receive, that needs to be from relevant sources. You cannot take information from here and there, from WhatsApp and Facebook, and you say that I have received from there and there. Isn't it? Those kind of information is not going to be accepted. When you are in academics, when you are in research, you need to see what kind of informations are acceptable, what kind of informations are not acceptable, what kind of information would be treated as ethical and what kind of information should not be treated as ethical. If you understand that, then again your research and record both would be fantastic, isn't it? Then review of literature, as you all know, is an important part of research and record information. My dear friend, why I told you review of literature is an important part, isn't it? I will go into the review of literature in details, isn't it? Look, my dear friend, in review of literature, the R is standing for relevance. I have just tried to explain what is review of literature, particularly the review part. R is standing for relevance, isn't it? It means, does the reference completely cover your topic, isn't it? And or only one aspect of it. Have you read widely to determine how relevant it is in relation to other sources? Many a time what we do, since somebody has told us that review of literature is review of literature are those literatures which are directly or indirectly related to your study, we follow those articles, isn't it? Which at least has a word on our topic. But the very first word of review is whether it is relevant to your study or not. That means it is only partially suiting to your topic, or it has to do completely with your subject matter. If it is completely to do with your subject matter, you follow that research because that is having relevance to your study. If it is partial, no, even partial is acceptable. But only it addresses only one aspect of your research, you can avoid those kind of, I mean to say, literatures, my dear friend. Apart from that, the second, in the review of literature, E stands for expertise of author. Many time what we do, we follow write up of people, those who are not expert on the field. For example, if look, I am from international relations, but if you cite me on women study, then you are wrongly citing, or you are citing a wrong person in research. We call it authority. Expertise of author is like authority. Authority means a person or a person known for that area, like Amartya Sen for economics, or rather say Aristotle for political science, isn't it? These are broad topics, but in academic writings, you have micro themes, and in every micro theme, you have an authority. You have an author who is well known for that thing. You need to refer those authors. You shouldn't refer to please everybody. If you want to please everybody, my submission is sell ice cream instead of writing articles, isn't it? You need not to please anybody, isn't it? If, for example, many times what we do, our supervisors, our guides are also have written articles and papers. To please them, what we do, we cite them. Don't do that. Point is, whomsoever you are citing, that person needs to be an authority on the subject. he must need to be, a predominantly an expert on the topic. Then only you need to cite. In the review, V stands for, my dear friend, viewpoint of the author or organization. And in the viewpoint of the author, it is, there is, does the author have any personal or professional affiliation that may bias their work? Has the researcher been sponsored by an organization with a vested interest in the topic? Or what is the purpose of the source, to inform or persuade or entertain? Many a time what happen, whenever we are following authors, so nowadays almost every, authors or every writers are, my dear friend, organic authors. Organic authors means, if you have read, I mean to say, like organic thinkers and traditional thinkers. In organic thinkers, what they do? They write for particular ideologies, isn't it? They write for, a particular organizations, isn't it? Organization has a mandate, ideology has a mandate, and to please those mandates, they write for them. So therefore, whenever you are, quoting somebody, you need to see critically that the views that author has mentioned is biased or not, whether he has, given a misinformation or wrong information or not, isn't it? Those kind of things you need to look into while you are reviewing, you are referring somebody, or reviewing somebody's literature. In the review, I is for intended audience, my dear friend. Intended audience, you all know that for whom the article is meant, or for whom you are writing the book, or for whom you are, who are your target group. Intended audience means who are the, target group for whom you are writing. Accordingly, you need to also, report the, or review the, books or articles or resources. In the review, E is for evidence, my dear friend. What does it mean? Are opinions supported by scholarly evidence? Or is a particular reference style used properly and consistently? I mean to say, in the evidence, whenever we are, I mean to say, borrow data, ideas, and arguments from, different sources, we need to see that those ideas we borrow are valid. They are supported by well-established logic. They are supported by data, isn't it? Even in research methodology, we have a event data analysis. That means whatever we present, whatever we analyze, we need to, support with data. That E is for evidence means you need to support your argument with data, with logic, isn't it? Without that, no argument would be accepted as valid. Isn't it? In the review, you know, W stands for, when, sorry, I mean to say, W stands for when published. I mean to say, when the article is published. Many a time, what we do, we write an article, isn't it, in 2023, but we refer articles of 1991 without having any, I mean to say what, validity. My point is, if your article is conceptual and theoretical, then you go back to, the old articles establishing your conceptual or theoretical analysis. But if your article is not theoretical and conceptual, isn't it, try to cite those articles which were published at least not more than, for example, if you are publishing in 2023, Article should not be older than 2018. I mean to say this, review that you are doing or the citation that you are doing, whatever reference that you are making, they should not be older than 2018. Many a time, what happened on the basis of lack of updated the resources that you have mentioned are quite old, or the references that you have taken are also quite old. On that ground, also you got rejected. Many a time people do not understand the criteria of getting rejected. This also is a criteria of rejection. When you publish articles with reference, most likely you will be rejected. So that also you need to take care of. Sorry. Now the point is organize and plan. The next step in the research writing is organize and plan. How to organize? I mean to say, and why organization is important, my dear friend. As you know, planning and organizing an important aspect of any design. Then again, your article is going to be rejected. Sorry. Look, why planning is important? Because whenever you come up with a research design, that design is nothing but a plan. Therefore, simply I put it here, to design is to plan. Any article you are designing, you need to start with a plan, isn't it? Isn't it? Have you put all your efforts behind this article? Have you planned it well? How much time you have allotted for the plan, planning the scheme? And finally, what kind of drafting you have done and how much time you spend on drafting, editing and finalizing also I mean to say reflects the credibility of your article. Many a time what we do, we just out of discussion we write an article. Sometimes you will see people's writing article overnight. How this is possible, writing an article overnight? Sometimes people publish article within a week. They write article in 3 days and publish in another 3 days. Within a week you have an article. It's not possible. Do not follow that shortcut method. Do not follow this copy paste method. The best method of writing, my dear friend, is planning first. Plan it, organize your plan, allot time for this, isn't it? Just not for planning and organizing, also for drafting, also for editing, and also for organizing, finalizing. I mean to say, if you can follow, drafting, editing, and finalizing model after planning, then again you can have a successful academic career in write-ups. Next thing, my dear friend, is assignment structure. Whenever you are writing an article, this is very important for all the budding scholars. Whenever you are preparing an assignment, what should be the structure of your assignment? As I told you, for example, we are writing an article. In the article, what you need to have? First, you need to come up with an abstract. As I told you, abstract includes the review of literature plus the research gap plus the methodology plus the outcome. Four things constitute your abstract, my dear friend. In the review of literature, what already been said, what you want to say already been said, plus what you want to say, plus what would be your outcome if you want to say this. I mean to say, what would be your methodology if you want to say this? Nobody is going to accept you lightly, isn't it? You need to present that this is my method through which I will reach this outcome, isn't it? This is how the abstract is constructed. But what unfortunately we are doing, we just look at how many words are in the abstract. I mean to say 100 words, 150 or 200, 250 or 300, and we try to create a conglomeration of 200 or 300 words only without having any kind of relations between the abstract. Abstract is not a simple thing, my dear friend. In abstract, you have review of literature, plus research gap, plus methodology, plus hypothesis. Because your result is your hypothesis, you are assuming that this is going to be your outcome. Are you getting the point? Review of literature, research gap, methodology plus hypothesis is equal to abstract. If you miss any one of them, your article would be missed from acceptance. Nobody is going to accept it. So you need to remember the thumb rule whenever you are preparing the abstract. Then comes introduction. Introduction, my dear friend, is an extension of the abstract. Introduction is not, historical background. Many a time we provide a historical background to establish our introduction and we get failed. In academic writings, introduction is an extension of abstract. Introduction may not be more than 2 pages. Within 2 pages, what you need to do, you need to expand what you have written in the abstract. Therefore, in the last time when I told you a few minutes back, I told you that introduction is nothing but a brief summary of what you want to present in the article. I mean to say, in the introduction, the reviewer or the reader will get the complete or overall information of the article in the introduction section. If you can do that, then what will happen? Your article would be called as complete, scientific, comprehensive, and will be accepted. Therefore, while formulating also introduction, you need to be extra careful. In Scopus Index journals, they clearly mention that introduction should be a brief summary of the article. If you do not have that, again you will be rejected. Then methodology, isn't it? Between introduction and methodology, you have so many things. I am not discussing that. You have a review of literature, isn't it? You have a historical background, isn't it? You have lot many other things. I am not discussing that. But you need to
I think sir is cut from
Uh,
joining.
okay, no problem, sir. Will be rejoin because there is a network issue. So sir will be join. Okay.
hello,
Ah,
Vikas.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you are live,
Am I
sir.
audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Let me share again the PPT.
No problem, sir. Yes.
Okay. Look, when you are in the final draft, sorry for the inconvenience because of the technical issues. When you are in the final draft, my dear friend, you need to recheck the text again and again, and you need to proofread your work and not by yourself. You need to ask someone. Many times what happen, we do not identify our own mistakes, and for that reason we need a helping hand. We need someone else who can, as we all know, others always can find our faults. So in proofreading also, whenever you are doing a proofreading of your work, you give it to someone instead of doing yourself, isn't it? And remember, in the reference and annexure section, information needs to be put correctly and orderly, isn't it? After the, I mean to say, the final draft, what we need to understand, what makes an academic writing academic and challenging, isn't it? These are not, important parts, yet we need to understand that formality is an important, academic issues of challenge. Density, density in the sense, it, basically, in academic writing, we use long pronoun or, long nouns, long phrases with multiple modifiers, which needs to be, I mean to say, certain habits. Otherwise, it will make your study more loaded with informations, and your sentences should be more complex. Abstraction, objectivity, rigor, tightly knit, I mean to say, academic write-ups. These kind of things need to be, I mean to say, do away with. Otherwise, what I mean, your academic writings are not going to be, I mean to say, handy or good. Apart from that, what we need to know, I mean to say, use of language in academic writing. I think, as you all know, language is an important aspect. It's a vehicle of a writer, isn't it? And language has a role to play in, making your sentences meaningful or making your writes up creative. And at the same time, language has that magnetic capability through which you can attract the readers to read your articles. Therefore, we need to give more emphasis to language when we are writing, isn't it? What are the essential skills of academic writing? My dear friend, there are so many, essential skills of academic writing, where you can put your ideas in a very clear, precise, logical, and reasoned way, isn't it? That too, evidence based, information based. And while write a reasonable, clear, precise, and logical write-up, you need to know how to contextualize your ideas and arguments in the existing scholarship of the field, how to synthesize, summarize, or paraphrase, quote, or source and evaluate others' work, how to define and explain the concept, how to describe things or processes, how to express surprises or counter expectations, how to classify or categorize and compare or contrast things, how to agree or disagree with others' point of view, how to provide examples and offer explanations, how to engage with opposing views, how to integrate visual images with linguistic approach, how to acknowledge limitations and make recommendations, how to express appreciations and make disclaimers, and how to connect sentences, link paragraphs and structure discourses. That they are very important, my dear friend. Whenever we are writing an academic write-up, we need to be very, very careful in contextualizing ideas and arguments, in synthesizing and summarizing or paraphrasing them, in defining to be done, how to express our viewpoint, or how to present the counter expectations. We need to understand how to acknowledge our limitations and how to make recommendations. Lot many things are there which need to be known well before we write an academic write-up. The best thing where the students can be benefited is, how can I improve my academic writings? I mean to say, look, we all write, but the point is, what are the things that we need to be carefully looked at so that our writings can be improved, isn't it? The first thing, my dear friend, foster productive writing habits that work for you. Keep on writing, because once writing once or twice won't make you a writer, isn't it? Won't enrich your I mean to say, writing skills. If you want very good write-ups, you need to keep writing, and writing, isn't it? The more you will write, the more productive your writings are going to be. Read deeply within your field and widely in related fields. As I told you, a best reader can only be a best writer. If you read well, if you read deeply, if you read, profusely, then it will boost up your writing skills and it will propel you to write more and more, and it will propel you to write in an innovative way. Develop linguistic awareness and grammatical sensitivity. I mean to say, a best writer is one who has both sensitivity to the grammatical things and awareness to the linguistic nuances. If you have those kind of, I mean to say, I mean to say skills within you, linguistic awareness and grammatical sensitivity, that will also strengthen your write up. Preserved through the recursive writing processes of planning, outlining, drafting, revising, policing, presenting, and publishing. I mean to say, you need to have those skills of recursive writings, isn't it? Particularly in planning, outlining the research, or publishing the article, isn't it? Attentive to key elements of academic writing, such as audience, purpose, organization, style, clarity, flow and appearance. I mean to say, you need to know who are your target groups, isn't it? And on the basis of the target groups, you need to structure your writing. You cannot write the same thing for everyone. If your target group is administrator, your structure should be on that basis. If target group is your fellow researcher, your argument should be on that. If your target group is general audience, you need to write accordingly. Otherwise, what will happen? You will keep on writing, but nobody will be your audience, or nobody will read you, isn't it? The next thing, my dear friend, is you need to overcome the cultural barriers, isn't it? Whatever I mean to say, cultural barriers that are there in the way, you need to overcome them as well. How to improve my writing skills? What are the chances of getting published? How can I increase the chances? The first thing, write about something that you really care and know about. I mean to say, don't be an expert in every field. Write only on those fields you know and you know about, isn't it? Know the publication outlet you are targeting. Many a time we submit an article to every journal. Don't do that. Only you know um, write or publish on those journals that you know them or you are targeting, and prepare your article accordingly. Do not send the article to everyone. Send to those outlets which is befitting, or which fits to your content of the your article or argument of your article. Find the people of like interest to collaborate with, isn't it? Nowadays, collaborative research. If your article is not based on collaborative research, nobody is going to read it. Therefore, you find the collaboratives for collaborators for it. If more people come together and produce multidisciplinary research, that became easy for publication. Be patient and persistent. Don't worry if it's not getting published at once. If it is getting rejected, keep on submitting and submitting. That will help you to enrich your article, isn't it? But for that, again, you require patient. Simulate dialogues between reviewers. Embrace the feedback of all kinds to improve the writings. I mean to say, what you need to do is you need to stimulate the dialogue with reviewers. Whatever the reviewers give, whatever the inputs they give, whatever the reviewers suggestions are, you need to, I mean to say, incorporate them. If you can incorporate, then it will strengthen your study. Should we go with the publication ethics, because
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem, sir.
or we will discuss publication ethics in a separate presentation?
Ah, yes, sir. So that's a very good, sir. If you will be delivered one more lecture, sir.
Can you hear me, because
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. Yes, sir.
Vikas,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your voice is clear, sir.
should we go with the publication ethics, or we will stop here?
Please
Yes, sir.
continue, sir.
Because
Please
you're not getting me or what?
just a few more slides.
Because Babu,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your voice is clear,
look,
sir. Your voice is clear, sir. And if you have time and you want to deliver the research
should I
ethics,
stop here, or
and sir,
anyway? Since
if
I have told you publication ethics,
yes, sir.
I will. So since I mean to say, since it's overloaded with lot many information, what we can do, we can select another, I mean to say, time slot for publication ethics, and we'll stop here, isn't it? And
Please
I
continue,
strongly
sir.
believe the inputs of this presentation will have the boarding scholars in developing their articles. Okay, but whatever questions or queries we have, you for me. Whatever queries you have, you can put forth with me. With regard to publication ethics, we can have a different presentation for that. We can
Okay.
have a
Yeah.
different class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's very beneficial for us, sir. If यदि आप एक लेक्चर और करेंगे सर तो वो ज्यादा सही होगा, उसको हम अच्छे से डिस्कस कर सकते हैं सर.
Is there any communication issue, because
Yes, sir. I think sir that network issue. My voice is clear, sir. My Uday sir, my voice is coming.
yeah, should we continue?
Sir, we can organize separate lecture, sir. No problem.
हाँ विकास जी,
Yes,
विकास
sir.
जी आपकी आवाज क्लियर आ रही है, आ रही है।
Okay.
Okay, okay,
Anyway,
okay.
so if you
So,
want to
और
continue, we'll continue. Not a problem at all. Look, the point is that
sir, I think sir, आपकी तरफ नेटवर्क इशू है सर.
हाँ मुझे भी
yeah,
ऐसा
yeah,
लग रहा
we
है कि
can do.
सर की तरफ से नेटवर्क इशू है।
But no issue from my side, isn't it? We can go on, isn't it? The point is, as I told you, that research ethics or publication ethics, not research ethics, publication ethics. Particularly, I have discussing two things here. One is transparency, the other is conduct. That means while conducting our
हेलो.
publication, हाँ विकास, while
Yes, sir.
हाँ मैं बोल रहा था, आज इसको यहीं पे रखते हैं, ओके,
नेक्स्ट
एंड
नेक्स्ट क्लास में डिस्कस कर लेंगे सर. नेक्स्ट.
पब्लिकेशन एथिक्स को नेक्स्ट क्लास करते हैं कि
हाँ,
इश्यू
हाँ.
तो नहीं होना चाहिए, ब्रॉडबैंड है, फिर भी
नो
कुछ इश्यू हो रहा है, ओके।
नो सर, नो सर. नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम डिस्कस करेंगे, नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में सर इसको.
ठीक है,
ओके.
तो इसको अगर कुछ इंटरेक्शन करना है तो करवाओ, जो अगर
हाँ,
आ रहा है बस,
बिल्कुल सर.
नहीं
बहुत
तो उसको खत्म करते हैं, ठीक है।
बिल्कुल सर. बिल्कुल सर. बिल्कुल सर.
और 1.5 घंटा भी हो गया, थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया
बिल्कुल सर.
इसलिए
बिल्कुल सर. बिल्कुल सर.
चलो
बिल्कुल.
चलो।
So, okay. Now, दिस लेक्चर इसको हम यहीं पर इस लेक्चर को इन करते हैं और रिसर्च एथिक्स पर सर विल बी डिलीवर्ड द सेपरेट लेक्चर. So if anybody have any queries and any questions, so now session is open. तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं. यदि आप में से किसी के पास कोई क्वेश्चंस है, कोई क्वेरीज है, तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं. मेरी वॉइस आ रही है? मेरी आवाज आ रही है सभी को?
जी जी
ओके, सो
बिल्कुल
हाँ, यदि
आ
आपके
रही है, आ रही है, विकास जी आ रही है।
जी 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 सर, यदि आपके पास
Yes, yes, we can
आपके
hear
पास
you.
किसी के पास प्रश्न है, कोई पूछना चाहते हैं, सो साक्षी आप सेशन ओपन करिए क्वेश्चंस के लिए।
All the parties, we are requested to all the participants, please ask any question if they have.
ओके, किसी के पास कोई क्वेश्चंस है? अदरवाइज हम लोग एंड करें फिर सेशन को। बीडी डीबी सर एंड
I guess there's
ओके
I think it's the time to conclude, sir. Valuable lecture of sir.
ओके, यस साक्षी, यस। हाँ, साक्षी यू कैन कंक्लूड।
Okay. We have to wait which are very yes yes sir. So, sir has discussed about the difference between academic writing and general writing, and why the academic writing is important, and how it is different from the general writing. And the academic writing is a way from which, or with the help of it, we put our ideas, and it also helps to transmit the ideas and research results, and it also help in career enhancement. Sir also discussed about the types of academic writing, which is student writing and expert writing. And when a slide, I found that the academic writing can include book review, argumentative essays, literature review, empirical research, grant proposals, and conference abstracts. And there is a forms of academic writing in the third lecture, which is a descriptive and analytical, persuasive, and critical. I think critical academic writing. I guess we all think that critical academic writing it is very difficult for us, but critical academic writing is very useful for us, and which is also described by Sir very well. And characteristics of academic writing is also described by Sir, and it should be structured, evidence, critical, balanced, precise, objective, oriented, and formal. And steps of academic writing, which Sir describes six steps, which is very useful for us. And I believe all the research scholars who are participated in this lecture so definitely will follow these six steps. And the assignment structure, which is abstract, introduction, method, results, and decision, which is described by Sir. And it is very interesting and new thing for me. I think for all the scholars, like review words, how review words spell, describe itself like relevance, expertise, viewpoint of author, intended audience, evidence, and when published. And in last of the lecture series, Sir describes the reason why academic writing seems challenging and role of language in academic writing, essential skills for academic writing, tips for improving published academic writing. And sir, we are very pleased to have you for this special lecture, and it's very valuable for us. Now, I will call this, Udaybhan sir for vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
And
Over to you, sir.
Pradhan sir, Udaybhan sir is the associate professor in Central University of Himachal Pradesh. So, sir has always joined our lecture. So, yes, sir, Udaybhan, sir. Now I want to invite, sir.
धन्यवाद। सबसे पहले तो मैं हाँ, मेरी आवाज आ रही है विकास जी?
जी सर, जी सर।
विकास जी, मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है आपकी
आ रही
आवाज?
है सर, आ रही है।
आ रही है
अच्छा, सबसे पहले तो मैं एकेडमिक राइटिंग, सबसे पहले तो मैं इंडियन रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स एसोसिएशन और इसके जो मुख्य कार्यकर्ता हैं विकास कुमार जी और बाकी इनके जो साथी हैं श्री गणेशी लाल जी, साक्षी जी, कुलदीप जी, इन सबको बधाई देना चाहूँगा कि बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पर ये अक्सर ये लेक्चर सीरीज, स्पेशल लेक्चर सीरीज चलाते हैं और न केवल रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स को बल्कि शिक्षकों को भी और हम जैसे लोगों को भी लाभान्वित करते हैं। और उसी कड़ी में आज एकेडमिक राइटिंग स्किल्स एंड पब्लिकेशन एथिक्स जैसे अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स पर
नमस्ते सर। नमस्ते।
प्रोफेसर रामकृष्ण प्रधान जी ने, जो कि पॉलिटिकल साइंस डिपार्टमेंट के प्रोफेसर हैं गुरु घासीदास विश्वविद्यालय, केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय बिलासपुर में, मैं सुन रहा था कि शुरू से ही सर ने, रामकृष्ण सर ने बहुत ही कठिन विषय को बहुत सरल अंदाज में, सहज अंदाज में जो है, और पीपीटी के माध्यम से, पीपीटी में भी बहुत कम बड़ी छोटी छोटी लाइनों के माध्यम से हम सबको जो शैक्षणिक लेखन कुशलता है उसके बारे में विस्तार से, गहराई से जानकारी दी।
यस सर, है सर, बोलिए।
और उन्होंने बताया कि ये जो प्रकाशन की जो आचार संहिताएं हैं, उसके जो आचार बिंदु हैं, एथिक्स जो हैं, नैतिकताएं जो हैं, वो क्या हैं, और जब हम कुछ लिखते समय भी आचार संहिता का ध्यान रखें, एथिक्स का ध्यान रखें। जब पब्लिकेशन के लिए हम कार्य करें, पब्लिकेशन का प्रयत्न करें, उस समय भी हमको ये पब्लिकेशन के जो एथिक्स हैं उनका ध्यान रखें। बड़े दुर्भाग्य की बात है कि आज जो है लेखन के साथ साथ पब्लिकेशन में भी एथिक्स को महत्व नहीं दिया जाता है। अनैतिकता का बोलबाला बड़ी ही तेजी के साथ बढ़ा है। और मैं बताना चाहूँ, हम बताना क्या चाहें, हम सबको पता ही है, एक प्रकार से राइटिंग यानी लेखन का, पब्लिकेशन का बाजार शुरू हो गया है। इसको एक लेखन बड़ा पवित्र कार्य हुआ करता था, प्रकाशन भी बड़ा पवित्र कार्य हुआ करता था। आज पैसा ले करके 1000 रुपए, 1200, 800, 700 रुपए, 2000 रुपए में इन्होंने एक प्रकार से जो है ना, इसको धंधा बना रखा है। और इतना ही नहीं, बल्कि खुद अपना पब्लिकेशन शुरू करके 800, 900 रुपए में। और मैंने इस दिशा में बड़ा काम किया है, बड़ा अध्ययन किया है, और मैंने देखा है कि कितने ओछे तरीके से, गलत तरीके से राइटिंग का काम होता है, पब्लिकेशन का काम होता है। उनका कोई भी स्तर नहीं होता, उनका कुछ भी स्तर नहीं होता। लेकिन अब इस माया जाल में, इस झांसे में जो है, हमारे जो रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स हैं और जो प्रयास कर रहे होते हैं कॉलेज में, यूनिवर्सिटी में असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर बनने के लिए, और आज एपीआई का जो मापदंड बना रखा है कि अधिक से अधिक जो पब्लिकेशन होगा, रिसर्च का काम होगा, तो हमको ज्यादा नंबर मिलेंगे। इस प्रयास में वह भी गलत दिशा की ओर चल पड़ते हैं। तो प्रधान सर ने पालन हमको अवश्य करना चाहिए, और साथ में जब पब्लिकेशन करें तब भी इन बातों का हमको ध्यान रखना चाहिए। और एक जो शोधार्थी है, एक शोधार्थी की राइटिंग तभी मान्य होगी, प्रामाणिक होगी, जब उसमें सत्यता होगी। तथ्यों पर आधारित होगी। उसका प्रकाशन, उसका पब्लिकेशन तभी नैतिक होगा जब उसमें तथ्य होंगे, सत्य होंगे, ईमानदारी से वो पब्लिकेशन का काम करेगा। इस बात का ध्यान हम सभी रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स को भी रखना है। नवागंतुक उच्चतर शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में जाने वाले जो नए नए युवा हैं, उनको भी इस तरफ ध्यान रखना होगा कि हम एकेडमिक राइटिंग स्किल्स को समझें, बूझें, उसमें निपुण बने। इसी प्रकार से पब्लिकेशन एथिक्स को भी समझें, निपुण बने और अपने आप इन सब चीजों को तथ्यों पर, तथ्य और सत्य पर आधारित लेखन का कार्य करें और पब्लिकेशन का कार्य करें, तो निश्चित रूप से जो नैतिकता है, आचार संहिता है, वो स्थापित हो पाएंगी। ऐसा प्रधान सर ने हम